Welcome to the Money Mindful podcast, where money mindset and life coach Meaghan Jean Smith, hey, that's me, teaches you how to transform your relationship to money and achieve your life goals so you can live a glorious, magnificent, delicious, awesome life and love being you. Hello, beautiful human, and welcome to another episode of the Money Mindful podcast. I'm your host, Meaghan Jean Smith. This episode is going to be a quickie. It's going to be a permission slip for you. I want to talk to you about rest, restore, can't even get it out, rest, restore, and thrive. So at the time of recording, I have just wrapped up doing 4 weeks of free money and life coaching for so many of you beautiful listeners. I ran uncapped for 4 weeks. It was amazing. So many of you got so much out of it. I have been absolutely loving all the feedback that you've been sending me, and it was an incredible experience. Afterwards, though, I really needed some downtime. So I took it. I took rest. I let myself restore. I went off social media. Those of you who hang out with me on social media, you know that I'm on there pretty regularly. I pop into the stories, I chat with you, I share what's going on. But I didn't do that. Well, I haven't been doing that for at least a week because I've really needed time to come into my own energy and just be in my own space with my own thoughts and my own wisdom and not getting a lot of stimulation from the outside world or from the online world at least. And it's becoming apparent to me more and more how important rest is. And so this podcast is really just a permission slip to tell you that rest is not a 4-letter word in the negative sense, right? I mean, it is actually a 4-letter word, R-E-S-T. But it's not a swear word. It's not a bad word. And I think so many people treat rest like that. I've been working with a client who works in a very high-paced, high-powered environment. She's high up in a big multinational company, and she has recently taken leave from work to rest. And it has been a massive journey for her to get to a place where she's been able to actually give herself the permission to take time off work and take time out for herself. And it even got to the point where it was actually affecting her health, and that was one of the reasons why she allowed herself to take time off. And I think that this needs to stop. And it's not that I don't believe in hard work. I absolutely actually do. I think anything worth developing, any money or life goal worth pursuing is going to require work and action. Absolutely. But it doesn't mean you have to work yourself to the bone, and it doesn't mean that rest is not allowed. And what happens when we don't take rest is we stay in this kind of hyper adrenaline state of being, right? And in my experience, you're not even present. And sometimes being busy is a safety coping mechanism, right? Because we can't really look at things in our life or create awareness around problems that we might be having if we're just busy all the time, because there's no time for that, right? We don't have time to reflect or have time to check in with what's really going on. So in many respects, being busy keeps us very safe. But at the same time, I think being busy and not resting stops us from being able to develop and have new opportunities evolve. So this client that I was just mentioning before, since she actually took time off, all these amazing things have happened in her life. Every time I have a session with her, she's like, and I've done this and I've done this. You know, she's sold her home and somebody approached her about a work opportunity that's something that she really enjoys, that now she's just doing it on the side as a project just for fun, right? That's actually going to create more income for her, but that's beside the point. But those opportunities would never have come up or been available to her if she hadn't have actually taken the time to take rest and restore. Not to mention the fact that her body and her health actually needed her to take rest and restore, right? I've just been reading this book and it's by a male in the business industry and it's about marketing and sales. And there's a lot of great stuff in the book because he's very skilled at marketing and sales. But one of the things that I've been reading, which I strongly disagree with, is he talks about work ethic and he talks about getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning and going and working out and getting to work by 7 a.m. and already having 2 hours of work done by 9 and then working throughout the rest of the day. And look, there's nothing wrong with having a good work ethic and working hard. That's not what I mean. But I feel like this idea that you have to get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. every morning and work your guts out until the end of the day, until you're so exhausted that you just come home and crash, I think that's bullshit. I think that leads to burnout and exhaustion and overwhelm and a shitty life. And I want to speak out against that. I disagree with that strongly. I love to work hard in my business, but I work hard in my business in sprints. It's not a marathon. I cannot possibly go at full speed all the time. And I don't believe that that is a healthy way to live. Now, obviously, there are people out there who do. This gentleman who's written this book that I'm reading currently, he believes that you should just go all the time. But I think that's a very male perspective. And it's interesting, I was listening to a guy on the internet recently. He's a doctor, and don't quote me because, I don't know his credentials, but apparently he's a medical doctor. And one of the things he said was that women need more sleep than men because hormonally we don't have testicles that are producing testosterone 24/7. We actually need rest to produce the hormones we require in our body, such as testosterone. Again, I'm not a medical doctor, so don't quote me on this. But I thought that was so fascinating because so much in our world is set up for men, right? Like the 9-to-5 job works really well if you've got a partner at home cooking dinner and doing all the housework and all of that. But we don't live in the 1950s anymore, and yet we still are sold this idea that we're supposed to just work, and everybody's working now, so nobody's getting any rest. So what I want to offer to you is that you don't need to be sick to take time off. You don't need to have a breakdown or a traumatic experience or be in burnout to look after yourself. And just like in nature, when you look at a garden or plants, they do not grow all the time. Trees aren't flowering all the time. They have seasons, right? There's a time to bloom and put all that energy into growing a new flower or a new leaf. Yes, there's definitely that time, but nature doesn't do that all the time, right? Like nature goes through cycles. And I believe that as humans, we do that too, right? For females especially, we have a cycle in our own body every month, right, that we go through. I guess I'm not really trying to tell you any specific thing in this episode apart from I want you to know that it's okay to take rest. It's safe to take rest. And I encourage you to take rest and restore so that you can thrive, right? Rest is important. We need it. And that doesn't necessarily just mean sleep. Like, rest can come in different forms depending on who you are and what your needs and desires are, right? Like, you can take rest through movement. Doing a yoga class or doing exercise can actually be restful, right? Like going for a walk, like that can be restorative. It doesn't have to be energy consuming, right? In terms of doing a HIIT workout or something like that. But you can also get rest and restore from doing activities, something that you find calming, something outside of work, whatever that is for you. It might be pottery or some kind of craft, knitting, painting, writing, watching a movie, chatting with friends. Right? Everybody has their own recipe for rest, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and recipe to restore. And I encourage you to ask yourself, what is restful for you? What do you find restorative? And then take that rest, take that time to restore. Take care of the animal that's you, right? I bet you take care of your pets better than you take care of yourself sometimes. So if you're listening to this during the day and you feel like you've hit a wall, or you're listening to this in the evening and you can just feel yourself shutting down, this is your imaginary permission slip from me to tell you and to tell your body, oh, Meaghan said we've got permission. We're allowed to blob out. We're allowed to rest. We're allowed to go to bed early. We're allowed to take a little 15-minute break from work in the afternoon and go stretch or go for a walk around the block. You're allowed to look after yourself. So take that time to rest and restore. Your body will thank you. Your mind will thank you. Your clients that you can then show up on fire after you've rested will thank you. Your family will thank you for not being stressed out and weird. Everybody benefits when you rest and restore. It leads to thriving in your life. All right, if you have found this helpful today, let me know. I'd be so grateful if you shared a screenshot of the episode on your social media or just reached out and sent me a DM and tell me your thoughts. What do you think about rest and restoring and thriving? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Tell me. I love hearing from my listeners, and those of you who already do email me and reach out, you know who you are. I love being in contact with you and seeing who's actually on the other side of the mic. All right, until I get in your ears again next week, have an amazing week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Money Mindful podcast. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe. Ready to take the next steps? Creating your money and life goals can be super challenging if you don't have a process to follow. Get my free course that will help you get unstuck, clarify your goals, and get you going. For more info, go to meaghanjsmith.au.